but this is what happens when you get old. You just get smaller and smaller and smaller. I want to thank you all for being here today, especially our players for getting our organization back to this championship where they won it in 2008. And when I first arrived in Philadelphia, there were some pictures of the 08 season, and I felt like that was important to keep those on the wall. And all the other ones that were about individual players and individual accomplishments, we took down. So I think the thing about, if you look at the Philadelphia Soul and you say, who are they? What did they do this year? It's never about me, it's about we. And this was a team that transitioned from literally players all over the country. Jacksonville, Jeff and Mishai in training camp, the Arizona guys, and we're still adding to that group with Fabrizio, our kicker. Obviously, you guys heard the stories about Dallas and Philadelphia. You know, it's unbelievable. I mean, you could get guys that played on a team in Philadelphia and Dallas, and you could actually put them together and have it work. And you know, it was special. It was really a fun group. I never worked a day this year. Every day was fun, and I enjoyed every moment of it. And I just thank those players because they're the ones that really made a difference in our season. Rather than getting into individual players and try to talk about, you know, the kind of season they had or whatever, I'd like to just talk about just overall groupings of our team and what my feelings and evaluation are as the season went on. We started the season here with New Orleans, the Voodoo, and had a game that went back and forth literally the whole game. We needed every point we could get because we only won by 1 point that night. And in fact, the last play of the game was the Voodoo attempting a field goal, which Brian Robinson, one of our defensive linemen, blocked. That's how we end up winning that game. So we went from that to, you know, progress through the season. There was a lot of different changes that were made, personnel-wise, philosophy, but you know, we are who we are today. I think our defensive pass rush, because I'll start with the defense, being a defensive back, everybody thinks defensive backs are just blessed with skill, ability, and catching the ball and things like that. We've had some great defensive backs on the Soul this year. You know, Kent, Rayshawn, and Rico Stevenson. I mean, what a fantastic job these guys have done. But as I tell them every single day, everything starts up front. It's with our pass rush. There's no doubt that our pass rush, it progressed as the season went on. We made some changes. We tweaked it a little bit. But, wow, those guys really just started to focus and hone in on the quarterback. Our linebackers, although we made some changes and there's been plenty of opportunities for our linebackers that kind of mix and play with each other in different games. You know, they've been consistent. They're the ones that make the calls all the time. You know, the linebacker group has been aggressive and tough and opportunistic. I talked a little bit about the secondary. I think Kent Richardson was named first-team All-Arena. Rayshawn Kaiser, a player that came in, I believe was first-team Arena the last couple of years, you know, led the league in passes defense, which is the ones getting knocked down, as well as I think he was third or fourth in interceptions. So just outstanding group of athletes to be around. On offense, it starts with the quarterback. I don't care what league you're in, NFL, AFL, UFL, NCAA, it's about the quarterback. And you don't know what harmless and helpless is until you don't have a quarterback. Fortunately, we were able to have Dan Rattlers be our quarterback this year. You know, Dan is usually, most quarterbacks I've ever met in my life, NFL, college, arrogant. You know, want to be by themselves, think they're the MVP. And although they might be the MVP, this is what's great about Dan. Dan is just, you could not ask for a nicer guy, a greater teammate, guy was going to be there every single day for you. In terms of his efficiency as a quarterback, get the ball out of his hands real fast, make quick decisions. You know, it's been explosive. You know, there's a reason why we're leading the league in points and rushing yards and things like that. It starts with the quarterback. So I give Dan just a whole bunch of credit. Sitting next to him is Derek Ross. Derek's been like I'm trying to think what you were like, Derek.
One of a kind.
One of a kind. One of a kind. He's one of a kind because wherever he goes, he continues to set records and score touchdowns. And, you know, it's one thing in arena football, and I've been a coordinator and a head coach for a number of years. It's one thing to stop a team's passing game. You know, you scheme on their quarterback. How many does he go? One step, 3-step, 5-step? Does he look to his right, left? You know, where does he feel comfortable? Where's his favorite receiver? And that's fine. You can do all that. But here's the problem. You put a running back into that equation, man, now you're in big trouble. Because there isn't one defensive back in this league that wants to tackle that guy over there. It's a headache. It's going to be painful. And so you can mix the running game with the passing game, you have something special. And I think that's what our offense is. It's you don't know whether we're going to throw the ball or we're going to run the ball. And either way, it's probably not going to be good for most of the teams that we played against, defenses. Big guys in any league can cover up for little guys. Little guys cannot cover up for big guys, which brings me up to the offensive line. If you don't have an offensive line, then I don't care how talented your quarterback is, your receivers, your running back, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And we've been fortunately blessed with a lot of great talent at offensive line this year. We started out with Zip Duncan and Christian Johnson and Brennan Carvalho is our starting line. Every one of those guys, lights out, locking guys down, giving Dan opportunities to find receivers, giving holes for Derek to run through. You know, as we go through the season, there were some situations that just happened. 18 games is a long, long time. That's a long season. It's the first time in my career I've ever been involved with 18 games. I'm glad I'm not a player playing 18 games. It's really a taxing activity to go out and do that week after week. You know, it has a tendency to take a toll on your body. With that being said, I can't say enough about our offensive line. They've given Dan the opportunity to throw receivers downfield, pass protection. Even when players went down, the three that I just mentioned, Greg Ryan, a player that came in and helped us for a few weeks, Devin Clark, you know, from Arizona came in and did a fantastic job for us. Those kind of things, this is what's been great about this team. No matter who it is, we were able to make the changes and substitutions and just fit these guys seamlessly in together. And even though there were not a lot of players that came from last year's team, it's just like these guys had been with each other all along. And so from a psychological as well as analytical standpoint on the field, you know, they're meshed really, really well. Talked about the quarterback. You know, the quarterback does need receivers to throw to. And the receiving core that we had this year, once again, you know, Larry Brackens with the unbelievable game that he had last week, and Donovan Morgan, you know, having been on the team from last year, you know, what an incredible athlete he is. Jeff Hughley, everybody knows about him from Jacksonville Sharks from last season and all the great things that he did. But Emery Salmons, it's one of those things that, of course, Tiger Jones was with our team the whole year with incredible statistics, now with the Eagles in training camp. But I look at players for what they can do for us on the field, and that's over half the equation. But if they're knuckleheads and they can't get along with anybody, then we probably can't have them on the team. What is great about the guys that I just described to you, wow, I would go anywhere with these guys. I mean, these guys are willing to go the extra mile, they'll sacrifice for each other and make sure that they're there all the time. So anyway, with that being said, I don't think I have to answer any questions, do I? No, Anthony? I do.
You do.
Right now?
Yes, sir. So we'll open it up for questions.
Right now. Right now. We'll have questions and answers.
And each of the players has a microphone in front of them, and then after we get done with the group session of questions, then we'll open it up for individual questions. We'll keep the team here. They're going to be here until 11:30. So as you guys saw last time, we'll have one-on-one opportunities with all the players as well. So open the floor for questions.
I feel like I really know Arizona. I live in Arizona. Okay. I went to almost all their games last year. So I don't know if I didn't know I was a scout at the time, but I guess I was a scout. So yeah, the quarterback, great quarterback. I mean, just gets back in the pocket, quick, fast, makes quick decisions. And I look at their receivers. It looks like a basketball team. They're all overpowering receivers that have skill and ability and speed and outrun defenders. I think where they really make their money, so to speak, is on their lines. They're both their defensive line and offensive line. They do a great job protecting the quarterback. We just chuckle sometimes. As a defense, we watch in our meeting rooms, watching the Rattlers play against other teams. Their defensive fronts are just overpowering. They've really pushed people around in the Western Division, and starting with their nose guard, they got great linebackers. Their secondary is very skilled, play a lot of man coverage. They've had good kicking and special teams over the course of the last couple seasons. So, they really don't have any weaknesses. And I know Kevin, I'm not saying I know him extremely well. He was gracious enough to let me come and talk to his team last year before their ArenaBowl appearance. And I think that shows respect. I certainly have a tremendous amount of respect for him and the job that he's done. And if there's somebody out there in this country that has some talent, and I was talking to Fabrizio about this a little bit, our kicker, Kevin is the one that, I think first discovered him in terms of, give him an opportunity to come to the Arena Football League. He works. He works. And most people we've talked to trying to get him to come to our team, they've already talked to Kevin Guy. He's been on the phone with them. So, got to give him a lot of credit. He does his job extremely well, and he'll be aggressive. You better be ready for stopping anything. Anything. Fake extra points and double passes, where you throw it to the wide receiver, he throws it. It just goes on and on and on. But that's what good teams do. They keep other teams on edge.
You brought up the question about the National Conference and how tough it is over there. You can't say anything bad about the American Conference. It's one of the toughest teams you play. They look at that South Division, you see the records of that South Division. One of the toughest teams you played was right here, was New Orleans.
Right. Well, we didn't want to start with New Orleans, I promise you.
Right.
I talked about it before. Quarterbacks are, I think, you start looking at the quarterback position. That's the lightning rod of most teams. And the Voodoo had an excellent quarterback. So you don't want to play teams that have excellent quarterbacks, because even quarterbacks sometimes can manage a poor offensive line with screens and draws and things like that. They can work around it. But having coached in the Southern Division for 4 years when I was in Georgia with the Georgia Force, gave me an opportunity to really start understanding some of those teams down there in the South. And I'm not saying I knew single thing about them, but I understood their philosophies. Orlando and Tampa had a certain personality. New Orleans, the same sort of thing. So, I think that was a huge advantage for me in playing the Southern teams this year. The Western teams, and again, I respect every one of them, but if we are successful in beating the Rattlers, we'll have beaten every team in the Western Division this year. So I think that my thoughts on this are, if I didn't go, I was supporting the team that was in our conference. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore around the Arena Football League. If he's your enemy, and he's your enemy till you go down to the last day. I've talked to some fans out here that came to the ArenaBowl that don't either like us or don't like Arizona. Come on, you got to root for somebody. You got to like one less than the other. But we're really excited about the opportunity to play against the Rattlers.
Well, strange, you guys in Arizona and Philadelphia didn't play during the regular season. You played just about everybody else.
Well, if we did play them, I would have hoped they came to Philadelphia, because I learned another thing. Being on the East Coast and traveling to the West Coast and playing night games at 8 o'clock, there is time change, and you are 3 hours ahead of the Pacific Standard Time. And what is an 8 o'clock game for the West Coast is actually an 11 o'clock game for anybody playing on the East Coast. And after we got past all the yawns, going to Spokane this year, when you say you give your speech to your team and you look around and everybody's yawning, it's not a good sign. And so, yes, I would hope that if we played the Rattlers, come east, come to Philadelphia.
You just brought up a good point now. The game starts at 9:30. Is that going to have an effect on you?
Nope.
Okay.
Well said.
But I got a question from a fan. I was wondering, bringing in Scotcha, even though you only saw him one game, how would you evaluate his performance in that one game?
He's a great guy. Let me say this, because if he doesn't fit into the team off the field, most kickers have their own personality, their own eating habits, their own living habits, their own dress style, all that kind of stuff. They're really Bezo, where you at? Hey, he can kick the ball to the net. That is what matters. And he kick it between those uprights, and we need him to do that. Enough said. You want to be a great teammate? You want to be loved by each other? Do your job.
Yeah.
Do your job.
That.
Everybody loves him.
Question about your defensive backfield. At the beginning of the season, I mean, you saw a totally different defensive backfield. The only guy you had was Kaiser. Now you have the defensive back of the year. You have Kaiser, and like you said, you have the top 5 secondaries in the league. Tell me about the change you made and how this secondary now is one of the best in the league still.
I mean, really, I don't have anything to do with this. There were some Rattler fans, Big John, Peanut, the pro fans from Arizona, and I talked to them because they were fans of mine when I was a defense coordinator out there. I don't even call signals on defense. Why give me credit for anything? I stand on the sideline. Good job. So, give this to the players. Right, Ray? Kent? Rico? On them. Colin? Sorry, Colin. Sorry about that, Colin. You've been making a lot of plays in practice. Thank you. Honestly, you got to get the right guys. You have to get the right guys. It doesn't matter. If you get the wrong guys on your team, I don't care how hard you coach. There aren't enough hours in the day. And you can't tell them that you're trying to do on this, but you're just trying to put together the best team possible. Put these guys next to each other so they can complement each other. And maybe that was what the problem was we had at the beginning of the year. We had unbelievable talent in our secondary to begin with. Great award winners from all over the place. But you know what? It just didn't mesh. It just didn't get together. I mean, we had Mishai Robinson, who came from Jackson, unbelievable athlete, but he played in the middle. We only got one middle position on the team. We can't line up 3 guys behind each other and say, okay, guys, go get them. It doesn't work that way. So I know one thing. This secondary works now. It works, and those guys complement each other, and they love playing with each other.
Question for Derek Ross. The Marine football world is kind of getting to see the numbers you put up over the last couple of seasons. When you came into the league a couple of years ago, did you think something like this was possible? That the touchdowns, the yards, the records, or were you coming in here thinking, I'm going to be another fullback out here just blocking for quarterback, better offensive line?
Well, I mean, I started in San Angelo with Clint Dozell, so I knew that he was going to give me the ball. It was just my opportunity to go and show people that I can do it. And I came in the league, and I was just like, be the best. So, how it is. Straight up.
Question for Jeff. What do you remember about last year's championship game? You played the game last year.
Well, first of all, just from the short week that we had from the conference championship to an ArenaBowl, it was a challenge, because we got to rest our bodies. We really didn't want to do too much practicing, and just staying focused. Plus that long travel to Arizona, so we really had a lot of adversity before even getting to Arizona to play the game. So the way that it ended was fitting.
Any knowledge you've been trying to impart to the rest of the team, the experience you had in this game last year?
No, I'm just like any regular season game. We're doing fine, taking it one day at a time. We're relaxed, we're confident in ourselves, and that's all that matters.
Coach, do you kind of feel like he's a good luck charm bringing him in from Jacksonville?
You know what? I think he's a good luck charm, but you know what? Has nothing to do with supernatural or mysterious. This guy works his butt off. I mean, he came in from a championship team last year. He's working, him and Tiger, like working afterwards, before, during the practice, and it is amazing just sitting down there on that wall every week, seeing the punishment that he takes. And delivers. I challenge players, I've had a lot of people through the years say, football players, NFL, whatever, AFL, these guys don't deserve what they get, tension, money, whatever. I go, have you ever run down on a kickoff? Have you ever been on a kickoff return team? Your life flashes in front of your face. Literally flashes in. Because, I mean, there's some death-defying acts going on out there. And he just does it so willingly, on top of being a receiver. And, you know, I'm there the next morning in the facility down in the training room. Wow, this guy's got bruises all over the place. And, you know, you need a physical toughness and a mental toughness, and that's why I love Jeff on our team. The fact that he was with the championship team last year, I think, is just one small part of it. But you try to copy and emulate his work habits and his attitude, wow, you want more of him.
In the city of New Orleans, what time is curfew?
Curfew.
No curfew.
You know what, here's my philosophy.
We're responsible.
If you do not recruit, get responsible, focused, disciplined people on your team, and writing something on a piece of paper that says curfew, they understand the value of this game. So I guess that answers, we don't, it's self-imposed curfew.
Yeah.
In fact, these last couple nights, I said, why don't you guys stay up and get out of here? I'm standing in the lobby of the hotel. I don't want any more guys getting ready to fall asleep at 9:30, 10:30, 11:30, whatever, because it's, again, that's only relative to Central Time. We're an hour ahead with our body clocks in Philadelphia. And that doesn't mean we're out there trying to tear the town down. No, I feel very comfortable with the people, the players that we have. I trust them. And, you know, they've gotten us this far. So
Basically, the time difference of the game, you want them to stay up a little longer, don't you?
yes, you got to be a coach with us on our staff. No, we're just thinking that, you know, we really believe that it's important for us to make sure that we give ourselves as much opportunity to at least make sure our bodies are in a frame of mind where, you know, we're not going to be wanting to fall asleep before the game starts.
What do you remember about winning a championship here as a player?
You know what? This is a great thing about time. My career with the National Football League with the Chicago Bears ended in 1982. I actually had a spinal concussion against the Detroit Lions in 82, and I never made it to the Super Bowl team. So, no, that's okay. But it's good because after a few years, you know, I've been asked that question so many times, usually I just say it was great. I helped carry Buddy and Mike Ditka off the field. So, but I would say 85% of the players that were on that football team had been there in 82. And so, you know, although I wasn't there, I felt like I was there. At the time, actually, I worked that day at a Burger King I owned in Columbus, Ohio. I was serving combo meals, you know, throughout the Super Bowl. So this shows you how life changes, how you're put in different places. Just be the best you can be. So.
As a coach, though, you've been in this game several times now. What do you take from those experiences going into this week?
You know, I don't know if you really can. I think every one of these games is different, just like a season. And, you know, the opponents that we played during those times, it was a different time. Yeah, I started when there was actually two-way players. You know, you had to play offense and defense, and there was that whole timing thing, and if you came out for a quarter, you couldn't go back in. And things have just changed so much now, so much. And even though the Arena Football League was a passing game even back then, it's changed. It's even become more of a passing game now. We're changing that with Derek. But, you know, and I spent those 3 years with the former Cowboy quarterback Danny White with the Arizona Rattlers. And so it's a weird feeling knowing Randy Gaspar, their equipment manager, you know, their office manager, JT. You know, you know all these people because you were in there sitting there talking with them for years. And even before I became a coach with the Rattlers, I was an announcer. I started doing radio and television for the Arizona Rattlers probably 8 or 9 years before that. So literally, I knew the ticket manager, the equipment guy, the trainer, the doctors, every single person in the organization before I came on staff. So I just think that you take each and every one of those and say, you know what, they were what they were, but they have absolutely nothing to do with this team here. And this is the most talented team I've ever had the pleasure of coaching. I'm not saying that because these guys are here, because I would have had an opportunity to say that before with other teams. But these guys are the most gifted athletes, and I feel good about going into this game with them.
Question for Dan. Eric Garcia told me that you and Davila are the new generation of quarterbacks. And he said that you have a certain style of your coach, Clint Dozell. How has Clint Dozell helped produce your game over the past couple of years, and you guys work together in Dallas and out here?
Yeah, well, I mean, Coach Dozell's a great coach. He's a great person as well. But, you know, I mean, I think we've developed a relationship on and off the field where, you know, he'll start calling a play on the sideline and I can almost finish it sometimes. Sometimes he'll throw in some curveballs, you know, just keep him honest. But, I mean, his philosophy, it's not too hard. Get the ball out quick, make a quick decision, and let the playmakers make plays. I mean, you've got to be good on 3rd and 4th down, but if we can be efficient on 1st and 2nd, we don't have to worry about 3rd and 4th down. And, I mean, you hear it a lot, you know, get off the field from him. So when you got a chance to score, we got to take advantage of it. But, I mean, Coach is one of the most competitive people I know, and I try to take that into the huddle and, you know, have that go to all my teammates in there. And when we go in there before every game, we break it down on score on 3, you know, and that's the goal, as many as we can all night long, and have the other team try to keep up.
Straight like that.
Ken Richardson, you got a head coach who's a DB, and you're coming into a football team where everybody ahead of you in the secondary has all arena accolades, defensive player of the year type of capability. How did you put together the kind of season you did?
Well, first and foremost, it started in the offseason. I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into, but, you know, I didn't want to really run away from the competition because I knew I was capable of doing just as much or the same amount of what they were doing. So I took what I did what I had to do in the offseason, and I came here and, you know, got with Coach Plank, and it is what it is. The rest of it's in the books.